What's up guys, this is Sean and welcome back to the iherng podcast, and today we are answering a question from email. This is from questions from overseas income earner plus first time home buyer. That's the title of the email lah. Hi Sean, hope you're well. I've been loyally watching your YouTube videos for the past couple of years since I accidentally stumbled upon your videos on my YouTube homepage. Thank you, algorithm. At first, I watch your videos just for fun as it feels like you are taking me on a free property journey. I was still a fresh grad back then and I can't afford to buy any properties yet. But now, I am looking to venture into the property market after 3 years of working. I have sorted out my insurance, my emergency savings, and also contribute monthly for retirement fund. I am working overseas in New Zealand, and seeing the property market here, my appreciation towards our property market back home grew more and more. Over here, interest is sky high. Normal deposit is 20% and median house price in Auckland has reached 1 million New Zealand dollar for some years already. People buy houses here for own stay and investment is almost out of the question when the median salary is only around 60,000 New Zealand dollars. One thing's for sure, I am going back to Malaysia after working here for at least another 3 to 4 years time, probably more due to the work-life balance and culture. I am looking to buy my first property back home. My goal is for investment purpose, either via rental or Airbnb with the goal to exit in 10 years with capital appreciation. I have checked with the bank and my LE is around 1.75 million. I understand that LE does not mean I can afford to buy a 1.75 million house, hence I am looking for a property that is priced at around 600,000 or lower. Due to working from overseas, I foresee that there will be some challenges. For instance, my research currently consists of YouTube videos, Lawyat forum, and property classes offered by Far Capital. I can't go to site visit or the sales gallery myself or ask my friends and family to go on my behalf. This is probably cheating step 3 of your basic property buying rules. After looking around the web, my heart is attracted to an undercon property at Tropicana Edelweiss. I know that area well. I like that area and how vibrant it is. The proximity to TTDI, NKVE, LDP, One Utama, IKEA, and etc. It's probably because I knew that area that makes me so keen on it, and that involves emotion. Due to my budget, I can only afford to buy the Soho unit, which has its own disadvantages. Some pros and cons that I have on my leads are below. The pros are: number 1, prime location; number 2, TOD; number 3, linked to a mall; number 4, good and reputable developer. The cons are: number 1, abundance of rental supply in the area. Number 2, Soho unit does not have standard facilities like pools and gym. Number 3, high maintenance fees and the high commercial rates. Number 4, need to hire somebody or use property management services. Number 5, likely to be negative cash flow, but possible to cover interest and a portion of the principal. Hence, I am looking for your opinion and advice on whether is this a good purchase for my first investment property. Some questions that I have is: number 1, as this is not a HDA project, I cannot get a 100% loan on this project. Do you think it's a waste of first-time home buyer benefits to not utilize that 100% LTV scheme? Number 2, a lot of my friends told me that studio units is not as attractive as a normal 3-bed, 2-bath condo. Hence, the capital appreciation and marketability when selling the unit later might get affected. What is your view on this? Number 3, what are your thoughts on leaving your unit completely to somebody else to manage? As I am working overseas, I have no way to go check the unit from time to time. If a problem occur on that unit, that must be very worrisome for me as I have no direct way of being there to solve the problem. Number 4, I looked around property portals and there are hundreds of rental supply for that unit, for that area. That is a bit worrying as a studio rental of 2,100 per month. Personally, it's not cheap. This adds to the fact that the facilities is not complete, which supports my thinking that I can only fetch a rental probably of 1,008 to 1,009. Hence, I am ready to go to the backup plan of using it as an Airbnb, which might provide me more ROI. What is your opinion on the rental demand in that area? Is this an indicator that there is an oversupply of rental units in that area? Really appreciate your time to read this, Sean. I understand that you are a busy hustler and I really admire you for that. Finally, I want to say that every time I miss home, I like to open your property video tours to cure a little bit of my homesickness. Watching your videos kind of sums up the landscape of urban area of Klang Valley, which I really miss. Thank you very much for sharing all the property knowledge that is thousands of ringgits worth of information in every video you put. I wish you and your family health to always be well and may your wealth prosper for more generations to come. Wow, kind regards, Aiman. Thank you very much, brother. Hope everything's doing well back then in New Zealand, and let's jump right into it, right? So Aiman getting ready to invest, but he is in New Zealand, so he's looking for his first property. And one point that he mentioned that I really like, right? After traveling the world, then he realized that properties in Malaysia is a lot of people just complains about how bad Malaysia property is compared to our neighbors. But if you were to really zoom in, right, as an investor at least. So I'm fortunate enough to get into some international forums and speak in Singapore for several times. And I got to know investors who invest in many locations. Standard across property market in all countries, minimum down payment will be 20 to 25%. So some can be 10% cash, 15% by your EPF or your CPF. Some can be progressive, like they'll give you 2 years to pay up 20%, then the remaining you can take loan. A lot of different formats to things. And after paying that down payment, right, then after the property is completed and when they can rent out, it can still break even with the installment of the remaining 80 to 75% of the property price. It's considered a good investment. But in Malaysia, if you have followed the channel for some time, we are so spoiled where when we buy property, we expect zero money down, but it also means zero down payment. Then when we buy, we still have cash back, and after taking that cash back, we still expect free legal fee, free lawyer fee, partial furnish, free cabinet, and still expect the rent to cover the installment. We are really lucky like that. Of course, these deals are just not within the open market. You can find anywhere one. Anytime you go into a sales gallery, you can find deals like that. That's not the case, because in reality, developers also want to make money. When they open up 40% for sale, the take-up rate is so high because of the initial price. What they will do, maybe I priced wrongly. Let me adjust 8% upwards. Then when they increase price again, the sales will slow down. But if it's still within their expectation, then they will price higher again and again. Ultimately, this is a business for property developers. That's why they want to maximize as much as they can, because there's only so much supply that they can sell. It's not like any other FMCG products where you can just reproduce and manufacture again and again and again. Property ultimately is still finite in numbers. So let's say a land in prime location of Mont Kiara or Bukit Jalil or Central or Cheras or whatsoever. When I got 500 units, I only have 500 units. I cannot go more. Yes, I can still buy the neighboring land, but the land then will be different already in excess in everything that I sell. So what can we do as Malaysians then will be to, number one, be prepared all the time. So Aiman here demonstrated very well where his LE means that his loan eligibility is 1.75 million. So anytime if there's any offers or deals that comes across his table, he can immediately snap up. But that's also required a second thing, which I think is very, very important: market intel. So if a deal comes across to your table today, hey, Aiman, this one, right, I think can buy. The first thing you need to know is whether is this deal expensive or cheap. And how do you know that? It's making comparison to the existing market price or the median price of property within that area that you are going in. And as we mentioned just now, a lot of these deals are crafted so it can either be via your own networks of agents where suddenly, hey, this owner want to move to New Zealand already. Ironically, he desperate, he wants to just release, he don't want to pay this game, he's very old, he's 75 years old. So he's now selling at a price maybe 600,000. Do you want or not? Let me know by today. So as a person at the other side of the phone call, then like 600,000, is it cheap or is it expensive? For example, if I've done research for this project for the past 3 months, it's always 680, 690, suddenly this guy wants 600. Can I push him further? I know it's already market price, but okay, let's say 580, I deal immediately, I write a check immediately. So this is how you then secure deals. But to do this, you need a network of people within the market to give you information and deals, right? The other way is to, of course, get yourself involved with a property investment clubs. But then this comes with a fee. But I think it's ideal for audiences who are trying to invest from overseas, because you will need several other facilities like checking your loan, doing a lot of groundwork like Aiman says, so doing the research, making deals happen. Then when the project is completed, are there any property management companies that can help the investor and etc. Because it's almost impossible for a person in a foreign land to do research. So the only research now that you can do is via Google or my YouTube channel. For now, I'm doing my best in increasing the scope but there's only one Sean for now. And because of that, as a Malaysian, we are just very, very lucky. And the thing is this, I do not know, I hope this will never happen, but I do not know when the investment landscape won't be that friendly anymore. Because looking at the pattern of a lot of developed countries, housing policies usually do not favor property investors. Property investors always go into the market and just destroy things, because we buy things in cheap prices, then we just leverage more on benefits from the government to buy more to increase our own wealth. That's the narration. That's why if you look into the housing policies of Singapore, it's not investment friendly at all. By nature, every government would want to provide welfare to their own rakyat, to make sure every person will have a roof over their head within their affordability, not kena goreng or whatsoever. So I've seen measures like very high stamp duties for foreigners. So as a foreigner, if you will buy in a foreign land, they will impose 2 to 3% extra. In Singapore, it's a bit crazier, 40 to 60% depending on what status you are. And you will have a separate interest rate for investment. Some, if you buy for own stay, it's a different interest rate. If you buy for investment, it's a different interest rate. Of course, investment will be higher lah. And last time, a lot may not know that there was no limitation on quotas, which means that for now, if the first two property purchase, right, is 90% financing, the third one there is 70%. What if the third one is 50% starting tomorrow, or the new budget that comes up, or they increase RBGT all the way if you have more than one property, for example 20%. So these kind of policies, right, it can be just changed like not overnight, but sometime, but it's rather flexible based on annual revision. All I'm saying is, I've witnessed the days where there's no limitation to 90% quotas, you can buy as much as you want. And there's a time where there's zero RBGT, there's a time where there's DIBS, so you can buy a lot without paying anything. And it's a time where the market is just very high in demand, very limited supply. And these are the people who make money. And these are the people who are complaining when they are coming into the investment scene again today, because the entire landscape changed. So last time flipping game was the game, now holding properties and building equity is the game. And moving forward, we might not know. So everything is just one housing policy away. Lately also there's a lot of announcement of the no partition allowed in KL, the no Airbnb within residential projects, the no renting to foreign workers policy for affordable homes, and these can be imposed from state government to state government again. Everything will change in accordance to housing policy. So in this current context of oversupply, a lot of high overhangs now, there are a lot of opportunities hanging around because a lot of people want to clear stock. So in desperate times, only there will be opportunities for capitalists like us. Instead of waiting for property boom time, everybody starts making money, right? Then something will be very, very wrong already. And I really appreciate Aiman really watches the channel and practice the 4 basic steps, right? So step 3 of the property buying step is actually to visit 20 different properties. And here, just to revisit that a little bit, the whole point of visiting 20 different properties is to build several things, is to build awareness of what you like as an investor. Sometimes you will think that you are comfortable with apartment investment. Since Sean keeps saying about collect rental and build equity, right? Very slow, I like landed. I can afford landed. So is landed wrong? No. 20 different properties allow you to really understand. Because if you were to go into landed, is it a semi-D, is it a terrace, is it a gated and guarded, is it strata, is it individual title, is it old, is it new? Then by visiting several different versions of completed, non-completed buildings of different era, then you will see different issues and which one suits you the most. Because some audiences actually share to me, there are a lot of landed projects around Klang Valley that is below $1 million that can still make positive cash flow of renting the rooms out individually. For those who shared, thank you very much for sharing, because I'm now doing homework on that as well. Let me try to figure out if I will get one. I will let you guys know again, but let me get first lah. Another thing, by visiting 20 different properties, you will then build this immunity against sales tactics, against closing statements like asking you to book, asking you to share loan or whatsoever. These are just measures or tactics to trigger your emotional portion of the brain and make the booking. Once you visit 20 different properties, already you've seen so many property salespeople and agents, right? You will get used to it. So you will then be able to differentiate what is information, what is fluff around the information. If not, right, most people will walk into any random sales gallery and walk out with a booking form just like that. It works. sales gallery is the best performing sales funnel for any developers. Then let's focus into the project of choice. So this is Tropicana Elderwise, and this has been around the market for some time already. I've actually reviewed this before. So question number 1, this is not a HDA project. I cannot get 100% loan on this unit. Does it mean it's a waste for first time home buyer benefits? So for information, HDA here is an act, Housing Development Act, that is meant to protect first time home buyers. Because last time in Malaysia, a lot of apartments being abandoned, built halfway, then the contractor chow, then developer also chow. So to prevent that, HDA was established, and within that it includes a standardization of SPA, which is your sales and purchase agreement. Last time everybody got their own version one, scary, and whoever reads the whole document, right? Then there will be the establishment of a shared account between the government body and the developer to prevent the developer from building halfway, then they chow or abandon the project, so they will still have some remaining funds to somewhat recover, or to discourage them from building halfway and leave. Also, the kind of filter that not anybody can become developers so easily. So for properties that are non-HDA, it means that usually they are commercial projects like shop lots, office buildings. Then this is like a SOVO or a SOFO. SOVO means small office versatile office, and SOFO means small office flexible office. Technically it's the same thing. It's just a space that they cannot call residence, but they call office suite. So when you buy, it's actually an office suite. But can you use it for residence purposes? Can. Just that the utilities will be calculated in commercial rate, so it will be a little bit more expensive. If you think about the latest ban for Airbnbs in Penang for residential properties, suddenly units like this becomes very, very attractive. But in terms of loan, you cannot qualify 90% or 100%. There's no 100% loan. Got 100% loan actually. But mean you cannot qualify with the usual 90% loan because it's not residential title. Usually developers will also adjust their promotions accordingly, where I know that the maximum is 85%. You can see actually buy this with a 15% discount also, it's still zero money down one. So it depends on what's the package that you're holding. And another benefit of a commercial title project is it does not include in your limited quotas of 90% for residential property. So if you were to buy this and you were to buy your next residential project and buy another one, right, you can still qualify for the 2 slots of 90% loan for the next residential title projects. Indirectly, this also means that it's a good alternative for those who have more than 2 already. I cannot cough out 20% upfront for a project lah, Sean. Who got so much money? This is all Malaysian speaking. You can opt for commercial projects like this, which is a little bit more to office, flexi office, lifestyle suite kind of component. The flexibility of usage then will be very, very high. So is it a waste of first time home buyer benefits, right? Commercial does not trigger any of that anyway, so I don't think it's a waste. Question number 2, a lot of my friends told me that studio units or SOHO units is not as attractive as a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom. So the capital appreciation and marketability when selling the units later might get affected. Several opinions. Number 1, first thing, who are these friends? Right? Are these friends property investors? If they are, then find out whether are they doing well in their investment or not. Just like me asking around for fitness tips. Do I listen to a person who have coached many people, or himself is a professional athlete, or I ask a person who just happened to be there at the gym, or my friends who whole day just hang out around mama? Always be very careful on who we get advices from. To me, I will only look at 2 things. Number 1, can the rental cover? What's the rental returns like for that unit at that area? So if you have the luxury of time, I'll look at studio units, right? Studio units, can you compare them with other resident studio unit? What I would do is you will compare a studio unit at a TOD setting, and a TOD setting then will be different compared to a studio unit without TOD. So with TOD, without TOD, what will be the difference? Kota Damansara TOD studio versus Bandar Utama TOD studio, what will be the difference? Versus a Cheras studio TOD, then what will be the difference? And measure that against the distance to the most populated stations like the TRX stations, the banking, the working stations lah. You measure yourself against that. The next data point then will be the market price or the latest transaction price. So if you're buying at a price where it's obviously higher 20% than the existing studio unit next to you, then it will be wrong lah. But if it's comparable but you're getting it 2 years later under a TOD setting with direct connection to the train while the others doesn't, then there will be a different factor again. Before even moving to compare 1 bedder to 2 bedder to 3 bedders. And I think here you can relate more as a tenant because you are actually working in New Zealand, right? This is when convenience matter a lot. There are a lot of people who would think instead of having a car, I will rent somewhere very close to the train station and it gives me convenience. Door-to-door experience is only like 30 minutes for me to get to work. And because I don't have a car, I save a lot of time. I'm willing to pay higher in rent. Then when I want to pay higher in rent, compare a fully furnished one versus a non-fully furnished one, it's only like 300 extra. Maybe I get the fully furnished one, and that's how the mentality of tenants think, instead of a person who thinks like, hey, capital appreciation is going to be less and things like that. He's not necessarily wrong because I don't know your friend, but it's our role to audit suggestions and opinions from all around. Ultimately, when one person wants to buy their first home, right, especially first home, suddenly a lot of experts around, but when you pull the trigger already and you start losing money, the worst thing that you expect from them is like, I say only man, you like that also listen, you didn't do your own homework one meh, you didn't do your own due diligence one meh, how I know what price you get now, like that's the last thing that we need actually. So to me, be accountable for all of our own decisions. If you make it, it's your glory. If you don't, it's my fault lah, then move on. Nothing wrong with it. The third questions of my thoughts on leaving my unit completely to someone else to manage as I'm working overseas. So no way to check the unit from time to time. This is the difference between a retail investor versus a commercial investor. Like retail, especially for first-time home buyers, it's very difficult to then like pass the project to somebody else. But like for me, after having a portfolio, right, I actually cannot manage my own units anymore. Like the past 4 to 5 tenants, I haven't met them at all. I don't even know how to fix the unit myself one. So part of the equation, yes, is your active income will be high. And I like that you do not maximize your LE, meaning that you're trying to get this project within your affordability. And that's amazing because that allows you to have a lot more spare cash for rainy days. So if anything happen, I'm okay to pay. If money can resolve the issue, to me, it's not that big of an issue. And that's actually how most investors can scale. If everything we think about, oh, myself fix, so when a tenant, hey, here I think leaking, then your first reaction is, hey, I need to go to the unit and check, right? You're not really into an investor mindset just yet. Because for experienced investors, hey, here leaking, let me get my guy. And my guy will be the property managers that you assign, or you have a friend, or you have somebody on site. But it requires time to build. So for me, I'm perfectly fine because I actually learned from it. I had a property in JB, for if you know, and that gave me a lot of problems, and due to the distance and due to the lack of experience, I do not have enough contacts, or I didn't build enough network within the JB market, and I was not taught to think like an investor, but I think like a person who go fix around. So let's say, hey, my curtain is dropping, can you come fix? I actually drove down Friday night, stay a night, Saturday fix for him, buy the relevant tools, then after fixing I drive back home. For like that I waste 2-3 days, my entire weekend for it. I could have just figured out how to make more money with that time and pay somebody to come and fix the curtain, because ultimately I won't fix better than a professional, right? So a good concept to have then here will be a sinking fund for our own investment. This I learned from a friend that came to the podcast before. Every month you got 50, 80 bucks or 100 bucks just put into a separate account of the housing loan, right? So if anything, end of the year, there will be enough funds for emergencies like the washing machine breakdown, leakages happen, then spoil the bed or whatsoever. So you still have extra funds here, and then ultimately investment will still require certain amount of money one. Although owning the property don't require funds, furnishing, running the operations, getting the right people to do the right things, all these need money one. So please do not think like after being an investor, I can ball with all the money go, whatever, right? No. Then question number 4, I look around property portals and there are hundreds of rental supplies for that area. This is a bit worrying as the studio rental of 2001 for me is not cheap. So let's say if you estimate your ROI is 2000, and here then you need to decide whether is it a fully furnished against the size, against the TOD, against the different things that you think can be a selling point or a non-selling point. Then compare that to your money installment. If that can cover full, then you need to cough out your maintenance fee a little bit every month. But at the start, you don't have to cough out anything because the amount of discount can already knock off whatever capital upfront that you need. This is all part of the decision-making process, and maybe we can drill down a little bit more on this. This is called the package of the deal. Some deals where it requires 10% upfront, right? With that upfront payment, you take less loan, results in positive cash flow from the monthly returns. Or you prefer to not pay any cash upfront at all, but every month from now, day one of the tenancy, I need to just cough out few hundred for maintenance fees. Just to add complexity to it, sometimes do you want to price in the fully furnished from the developer, but now every month I need to pay extra 200, but I actually save up 50,000 in cash, so at least I can do something with it, or at least it's a saving, or at least it feels good to have money in the bank. Or I opt for empty units, then I do my own, or I get somebody else to do it because I know somebody, so there will be extra discount or whatsoever, so I get higher rental returns and things like that. So deals, right, varies in accordance to money upfront, better yield, less money upfront, not so nice cash flow. And which one is better, right? It depends solely on ourselves, whether are we ready or not. That's why investment, it depends on whether you got money or you got no money. Then even if I got money, there will be another strategy of investing without using a lot of money, as that's my kind of goal because I got no money. So the goal is to use as least of our own money as possible to own as many properties as possible, hoping that in 30 years time it will build equity for the long run, and then only I will decide to exit whether halfway or not exit at all. So it depends which school of thought are you, it depends how old are you, it depends on how much money you have, it depends on risk appetite, it depends on your ambition. That's why this entire property investment journey, right, is very personal. Like now, like Aiman, you are in New Zealand, that's why your context is different compared to a person who's in KL comfortably. But you got money, I don't. Then the entire discussion will be different. That's why I really like this segment a lot. And I hope I answered all your questions. In my opinion, it's not too bad of a deal, but I am not sure on which route of buying that you are involved in. So if you're buying directly from the developer, or you're buying sub-sale, or you are buying from a bulk purchase group, or you're buying from your friends, or your partner is a business partner with a group, right? I don't know, maybe, right? The entry price then determines a lot for the strategy of investment. That's why this is a very, very tricky question. Like, Sean, this location A can buy or not? In location A, there's like 32 buildings. Which building? And even if it's the same building, which unit type? And which unit type also, it depends on who is buying or which channel that you're applying to buy. Of course, the cheaper the better, because that determines on my exit strategy and my rental yield. Most likely we will be renting out the same thing at the same rate if we were to provide the same unit services, right? But my cost of acquisition is way lower, then I will win the game. That's why property investment is not that complicated, but it's not easy. But that's why I love it so much lah. And I guess that's all for today. Balance out the numbers instead of people's opinion, and I think you will know what to do. And all the best, Aiman. Thank you very much for writing in. I really appreciate the encouragement. Malaysia shall welcome you again back as a property investor. Che. And I guess that's all. For those who still have any questions regarding real estate, do just email me at taniherng@gmail.com, or you can just DM me on Instagram, iherng, and I will see you guys on the next one. Ciao.